Alright guys, hi. So we're going to look at our substitution practice today. We're going to get used to putting equations into each other. So there's a couple of hints that might make it a little bit easier for you to understand. So it says, hint, when you are substituting equations into each other, you can have one equation in slope-intercept form and plug it into the other. Plug it into the second equation for y. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second just to put that in there. Alright, so what that means is I can have one equation in slope-intercept form. So I can just turn one into a slope-intercept form and take it and plug it into the other. So what this means is, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. See how y equals 5x plus 12? What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this, because remember y is just a placeholder as well, and I'm going to plug it in right here for where this y is. So what this is going to say, thus, now I have two parentheses. Now in those parentheses, because we want to make sure there's parentheses, remember next to each other means multiplication, I'm going to put my 5x plus 12, end my parentheses, because that's it, equals, and then I'm going to write the rest, 15 plus 6. Or sorry, it's supposed to be 15x. My bad. So then from that point on, you can distribute and solve it as is. And then in this case, you'll be solving for x. Alright, so let's actually see how this is going to work. For our first one, is at least one of these in slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b form. Yes, the first one is. So what I'm going to do, and you can honestly use the other way where you put this one in a slope-intercept form and then put them equal to each other, whichever method works for you. We're showing you this way because sometimes you'll get fractions for the slope and y-intercept for one equation and maybe not for the other. So we want to make sure that you know at least both ways so you can determine which one you want to use. So I'm going to take this 6x minus 11 and I'm going to plug it in to this y right here. Always draw arrows so you know what you're doing. So for my first equation here, I didn't do anything to this negative 2x. I didn't do anything to this minus 3. But instead of y, I'm going to put parentheses and put 6x minus 11. And then I'm going to write equals negative 7. So now I can distribute. A negative 3 times a positive 6 is going to give me negative 18x. Then I have to do the negative 3 to the negative 11. Remember, everything in the parentheses I have to do. A negative and a negative is a positive, so I get a positive 33. And I'm going to bring everything else down that I did not move, touch, or interact with. Now I can combine my like terms. I can combine the negative 2x and the negative 18x, which is going to give me negative 20x. Bring down my positive 33 and bring down my negative 7 again. Now it's just a two-step equation. How am I going to get negative 20x by itself? Well, I can subtract 33 from both sides. So these cancel. I'm left with negative 20x equals a negative 40. And x is still not by itself. So the last thing to do is to divide by negative 20 to both sides. So x equals a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 40 divided by 2, or sorry, 20 is 2. So this is going to be one solution. Let's move on to the next one. So neither of these are in y equals mx plus b form, so we can put them both into it. Instead of the first equation, I'm going to put in y equals mx plus b form. Let's do the second one. You could do either or. Pause the video and see if you get the same answer as me. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides because I want to get 2y by itself completely. So I have 2y equals 2 plus 2x. And if you put the 2x first, that's fine. Now what I need to do is divide by a 2 for everything. Everything. Don't just divide 2 by just the x. Make sure you divide it by everything. So I'm left with y equals 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I have 1 plus x. So now I can take this equation right here, this 1 plus x, and I'm going to plug it in for what letter? Y. So that's what it says. Y equals that number. So I'm going to plug it in. So now I just have x minus parentheses 1 plus x equals a negative 2. Now remember, you have to distribute this negative to each of these. Remember, there's an invisible 1 here. So negative 1 times a positive 1 is going to give me a negative 1. A negative times a positive is a negative. So negative 1 times x is just going to be negative x. And then all the other ones I'm just going to bring straight down. So I'm going to bring down my negative 2. And I'm going to bring down my x. Now I can combine my like terms. I can combine x and a negative x. Well, what happens there? They're going to cancel out completely. So I'm not going to have any x's left except for negative 1 equals negative 2. And is that true? Nope. So we're going to put a slash through the equal sign and we're going to say no solution. Okay, let's move on to the last two here. So one of these is in y equals mx plus b form. Perfect. So all we're going to do, again, is take whatever's equal to y, which is this negative 3x plus 5, and plug it in for this y. So now I have 21x, which I didn't do anything to, plus 3 parentheses, and whatever is y over here, so negative 3x plus 5, end parentheses, equals 15. You know what to do now. Distribute! So take this 3 and multiply by negative 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and negative times a positive is a negative, so I have negative 9x. And 3 times 5 is going to be a positive 15. So I'm going to bring everything down that I didn't move. Now I can combine my like terms. I can combine 21x minus 9x, which is going to give me what? It's going to give me 12x. Did we do anything to the 15s? Nope, we didn't do anything to those 15s. So I'm going to bring it straight down for both of them. Now it's just like our one-step equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 12x by itself on the left side. First thing I need to do is get rid of the 15 from both from this side and move it to the other. So 15 minus 15 cancels. So I'm left with 12x equals 0, which we can still divide by 12 to both sides. See, watch. So 12 divided by, 0 divided by 12. 0. Okay? So my x equals 0. Now, x can only equal this number. 0 is still a number. So it's going to be one solution. Alright, last one. I want you to actually pause this video and I want you to solve it out before I do it. I want you to test yourself and see if you can do it. Now that you have done that, whichever equation you put into y equals mx plus b form, that's cool. Whichever one, I'm going to do this one over here by taking negative 2x to both sides. So I have y equals 6 minus 2x. And now what I can do with it is plug this in for the y for the first equation. So now I have negative 4x minus 2 parentheses and put this 6 minus 2x there equals negative 12. Okay? So make sure you distribute everything. Make sure that negative 2 goes to both. That's why we draw the arrows. So negative 2 times a positive 6 is going to give me a negative 12. A negative 2 times a negative 2 is going to give me a positive 4x. And I didn't do anything else to the other numbers, so I'm just going to bring them straight down. Second to last thing to do, combine your variables like terms. So I have a negative 4x and a positive 4x, which are going to completely cancel. And I'm going to just be left with negative 12 equals negative 12. So what type of solution is this? Infinitely many solutions. All right,